Okay, guys. So let's get started with the session without any further ado. So before that, a quick formal introduction on my end. My name is Mohammed Shoaib. I'm a cybersecurity trainer certified from EC Council. Okay, EC Council is the leading organization for certifications and trainings in the domain of cybersecurity. Okay, I've been teaching courses such as certified ethical hacking, web application penetration testing, and SOC analysis, so security operations center analysis. Okay, since the past 5 years. Now, our demo today is on the very introductory course called Ethical Hacking for people who are completely new to this domain. Okay, so again, let's start this with the introduction to understand what is hacking and what is ethical hacking and what are the main differences between them. Okay, so if I have to define hacking first, this is the procedure of trying to gain access to information systems. Now, these information systems could be anything. They could be as small as a mobile phone to as big as a web application server or a database. And gaining access to these devices is done without the consent or without the permission of the person owning those systems. Okay. Now, again, once a hacker gets access to those devices, he can steal the data, destroy the data, or sell that data to other third-party victims. And sometimes the hackers are so malicious or cruel that they even do it just for fun. Now, if hacking is such a malicious task or a criminalistic job, why do we have a course called ethical hacking? That's the second question. And how is this becoming ethical or legal in the first place? So to define ethical hacking out, this is the procedure of trying to find vulnerabilities. A vulnerability is nothing but a flaw, a loophole, a weakness in the information system. And hackers take advantage or exploit the same weaknesses to perform hacking or getting access to the device. So we as ethical hackers try to find these vulnerabilities before the hackers do and report it back to the organizations. And all of this is done with the consent and permission from the organization. We follow the rules and policies that they set. We do not break any laws. We do not cross a line. We try to find the vulnerabilities only to report them back. Okay. And once they're reported back, the company is going to patch them up. They're going to update the security features, and that removes the vulnerability for them. So we are trying to remove the vulnerabilities and prevent them from getting hacked by certain black hat hackers. Okay. Again, let's talk about the type of hackers, guys, from these two definitions, from hacking and ethical hacking. So there's basically three types of hackers. There's someone called as a black hat hacker, gray hat hacker, and a white hat hacker. Black hat hackers are commonly called as cyber criminals. These are the people who perform hacking for their own benefit. And again, they do it without asking for consent. On the other end of the spectrum, we have someone known as a white hat hacker. A white hat hacker can also be called as an ethical hacker or a penetration tester. These are the people who perform hacking for the benefit of the organization. They find the vulnerabilities and they report it back so that the company can patch them up. And in between, there's another category called as gray hat hackers. Now, just as the name suggests, they are a combination of black and white hat hackers. I mean, they have a few properties from the black hat hackers and a few properties from the white hat hackers. Okay. So like a black hat hacker, they don't ask for permission before trying to find the vulnerabilities. But once they do, they report it back to the company. But there's a minor catch here. They don't do this for free. Okay. Again, they do this for something in return called as a bounty. A bounty is something which benefits them financially or reputationally for finding that vulnerability in return. Okay. Now, all these, and hence they are also called as bug bounty hunters for the same reason. And now, whatever hacker you take, whether it be a black hat hacker, a gray hat hacker, or a white hat hacker, they perform hacking or ethical hacking in a certain number of steps. Those steps collectively are called as hacking cycle or cyber kill chain. So our course is going to revolve around the same concept of hacking cycle, which constitutes of all these steps. Okay. So there are 5 important steps, guys, for performing any kind of hacking, whether it be ethical or non-ethical. Again, those steps are called as again, those steps fall under the definition of hacking cycle. Let's talk about these steps now. Again, guys, if you have any questions or queries, feel free to interrupt me at any certain point and ask your questions. Okay. So any questions until now? Any doubts up to this part? Anyone?
No, sir.
Okay, guys. So let's talk about the steps in the hacking cycle. The first step is called as information gathering. It is also referred to sometimes as reconnaissance or footprinting. Second step is called as scanning. It can also be called as enumeration. Third step is gaining access. Fourth step is maintaining access. And the last step is reporting or clearing traces. Now, the reason why I specifically have written or only in the last step is because that is where it makes all the difference between a white hat hacker and a black hat hacker. If you are a white hat hacker, you perform the first 4 steps in the exact order, and in the end, you report the vulnerabilities found to the organization. If you're a black hat hacker, for instance, you perform the first 4 steps in the same order again, and in the end, you perform clearing traces, which is nothing but removing all the evidences, deleting all the log files, and trying to stay anonymous so that you cannot be traced out. And that in simple terms is called as clearing traces. Let's talk about each of these steps one by one, guys. Let's go with information gathering first. Now, as the name itself suggests, information gathering is nothing but trying to gather as much information as possible about the target victim, okay, or the client organization. And one important point to note is this information is gathered or obtained passively. What I mean by passively is that you do not contact the organization in any way and get this information only and solely from the internet. Okay. Now the main question here is, what kind of information are we talking about? And this is the information as follows. So first, you try to figure out the IP addresses or the range of IP addresses used by the target organization. So again, IP address is nothing but an identity to the server. So every organization has their web server, and that web server has a physical identity. That identity is called as an IP address. Now, after that, you try to find the whois records. This gives you information about who is hosting the website for them, since when has it been hosted, when was it last updated, and when that hosting is going to expire. Okay. Then DNS records, giving us information about the data stored in the DNS servers, linking each and every domain and subdomain of the organization with all the IPs. Then the employee details, such as contact numbers, email addresses, fax numbers, okay, and if possible, publicly leave usernames and passwords. All this come under employee details. Then you try to figure out the domains and the subdomains of the organization, and then you try to figure out the operating system info. What OS are they using on their multiple servers? Now, again, believe it or not, all this information is readily available to be gathered or fetched from the internet itself. Now, going with the next step, we have something called as scanning. So scanning is the process where you try to get some extra information, but by making active connections. So it's a necessary point to note here is it differs by making active connections. In information gathering, we got it passively from the internet. In scanning, we directly contact the servers and retrieve some extra information. Okay. Now, what kind of information do we retrieve here? That can be obtained from 3 parts of scanning. So first you perform network scanning, and then port scanning, and then vulnerability scanning. In network scanning, you try to figure out on the target organization what all active devices are working in their local network. So what servers are they using? What firewalls are they using? What routers or what switches or what IDS, IPS systems, intrusion detection systems, prevention systems are they using? So we're trying to get an image of the complete organization network. After that, you try to perform port scanning to figure out on each of those devices what ports are open and what services are running on them. And finally, after getting the services information, you perform vulnerability scanning to figure out on those services, are there any vulnerabilities that you can attack on? So during this phase, guys, we'll be using a very important tool called Tenable Nessus. So you can search for this in your browser as well. And again, quite an expensive tool actually, which is used in real-time scenarios in organizations. If you click on buy, you can notice this is around $5,800 or so, and that too only for 1 year subscription. Now, luckily for us, we have a trial version as well, where we can use this to understand the working of the tool. So let me show you the tool installed on my system. Just a second. It works on my local device on port 8834. And this is how your Nessus tool looks like. So you can perform various types of scanning. You can perform a network scan, a port scan, an advanced scan, a malware scan, a web application scan, and so on. So these give you the list of vulnerabilities on your systems. Okay. Now again, what all can it test for? It can scan for each and every endpoint in your network. So if I show you an example here, I can click on plugins. Plugins are nothing but the scripts that I used to scan each and every endpoint. And you can see it is scanning for all the devices, Cisco networking devices, databases, for DNS service, FTP service, FTP servers, and even Windows operating systems, web servers, Mac OS operating systems, whatnot. Okay, so if I click on web servers or Windows, you can notice in Windows, it is scanning for each and every application. Adobe Acrobat Reader, each and every version of that, Adobe Air, Apple iTunes, whatnot. Okay, so it can scan each and every version of each and every application on a target system. Okay, and it gives you what system contains what vulnerabilities. After that is done, you go with the next phase, which is gaining access. Now, this is the main core of the subject, guys. This is where you try to perform the attacks once you get all the information. So once you have all the attack vectors, once you have all the possibilities of attacking a target system, next part is nothing but penetration testing, trying to test the security of the organization by manually penetrating into the devices. Now, it covers a huge variety of topics, and to list them out, here they are. First topic that we'll be talking about in gaining access is system hacking. So we'll learn how we can crack or bypass a Windows operating system password. So for example, if you have Windows 7 or Windows 8.1 or Windows 10 or 11, doesn't matter what version, I'll be showing you. If you have a locked system, how do you break that lock? How do you try to crack that lock and get access to the internal files? Then comes malware attacks. Malwares are nothing but malicious softwares. And there's tons and tons of categories of malwares. There's viruses, worms, Trojan, spyware, rootkit, whatnot. We'll practically learn how to create each of these malwares, what these malwares basically do, how to detect them on your system if they are already installed, and how to remove them as well. And then there's a bonus concept called Malwares Advanced, where we learn how hackers can write their own malware using Python program. Again, this is just a bonus concept, guys. You don't need to learn Python separately for the course. If you're interested, you can go towards that malware development field. Then comes network penetration testing, where we learn what commonly performed attacks are in a local network. So how do hackers attack Wi-Fi routers? How do they crack the passwords of Wi-Fi routers? How do they capture your data in a local network by using sniffing tools? How do they perform DOS attacks and shut down your servers? Is what we learn in network pen testing. Then comes social engineering, where we learn how hackers create fake websites, fake login pages, fake social media pages, fake bank login pages. So how are these phishing attacks perform, and how do you distinguish between an original page and a duplicate page is what we learn in this topic. Then comes web application pen testing, where we learn what are the common attacks on websites. So how do hackers get access to the backend databases? How do they inject scripts on websites and perform unwanted actions? How do they upload malicious files to web servers and get complete remote connection? All that comes under web application pen testing. Then finally, you have something called as hacking mobile phones, where we learn how hackers attack Android phones by using Trojan attacks. So this again covers the whole gaining access part, where you're covering each and every endpoint, whether it be network security, mobile security, web application security, system security, each and every single endpoint. After this is done, you have two small topics: maintaining access and reporting or clearing traces. In maintaining access, we learn how hackers maintain persistent connections. What I mean by persistent connections is that if a target shuts down his system or restarts it after a very long time, how do you still maintain that connectivity? How do you still access all his files? So that is known as making persistent connections. Then finally, after that, we learn how to report. So how do you generate a report with all the vulnerabilities and submit it to the organization? Or how do you remove all the evidences like a black hat hacker? So we are learning the attacks in both perspectives, an ethical hacker's perspective as well as again black hat hacker's perspective. Okay, again, other than this, guys, we have a few prerequisites to cover as well. So I guess the institute might have shared this brochure with you, which contains the course content for you. Okay, so before we dive into all these advanced concepts, since not everyone could be from a IT background, we'll cover basic networking concepts first. So what are IP addresses? What are IPv4 addresses? What are IPv6 addresses? What is a DNS protocol? What is a DHCP protocol? What is a subnet mask? So we'll cover all these topics first. Then comes virtualization, where we learn how we can create a lab setup of our own on our own device so that you can practice whenever you want to. So we'll use a tool called VMware. So I'll show you how to install VMware and Kali operating system with that. And then we'll learn about Linux and Windows commands. And after that is done, then we go into the advanced concepts. So there's a few bonus concepts as well, guys. such as cryptography, reverse engineering, IoT, cloud security, Splunk for SOC analysis. So these are a few topics that are not included in the curriculum from EC Council, but we have added it so students have a better understanding about the whole domain. So yeah, that's that, guys. For the course duration, it is a course for 45 days where you'll have classes from Monday to Friday every day for 1 hour each. Okay. Again, this is just a very brief demo, guys. There's a workshop on Sunday as well where I'll explain all these tools in a much more practical fashion. Okay, so we'll go a bit more in depth about how these tools, what tools we'll be working on, and a brief demo on these tools as well. So if time permits, please join this workshop on Sunday. It's at 10 a.m. if I'm not wrong. You can contact the institute as well, and they'll share the link for the workshop. And yeah, this is just a very basic demo for you to give an overview of what tools we're going to be using throughout the course. Okay. Any questions or doubts, guys, up to this part? Again, you'll be getting, again, for the course price of 8,000 rupees, you'll be getting the live classes, you'll be getting the recordings of each session, you'll be getting the PDF material, official material from EC Council, and the notes for each and every class already written. So you don't have to need a separate notes. Each and every notes is created for you so that you can just go through it after the session is done. Okay. So yeah, that's that, guys. Any questions on your end for people who have joined the session for the first time? Suresh and Shashi.
No, sir.
Okay, guys. Again, guys, whoever has joined yesterday as well, my recommendation, if time permits for you, please join this on Sunday. We have a workshop on Sunday where we'll learn, we'll take the similar demo and we'll just work on a few tools as well. So I'll show you what tools we're going to be using, what they are used for. So just like a much more brief intro to all the tools in the course. Okay. So yeah, that's that. Nothing further, guys. If you have no further questions, I'll exit the session and we'll connect back on Sunday.
What's the time, sir?
It's 10 a.m. I guess, Suresh. You can contact the institute and confirm that as well once again. If not, I'm pretty sure it's 10 a.m. itself.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So yeah, that's it, guys. Nothing further. I'm gonna exit the session now, and I'll see you soon. Have a good day. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Shashi, were you asking something? Your mic's unmuted. Okay.